4, 3,
They
2,
don't
1.
request people to
2 minutes.
type
Or we usually hire
instead of
a lot of
scribble.
times for deeds, we usually.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 17th, 2018 Muscatine City Council meeting. We're going to call the meeting to order. And Cinda, will you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Spread,
Present.
Harvey,
Present.
Brockert,
Present.
Saucedo,
Present.
Brackett,
Present.
Fitzgerald,
Present.
Malcolm,
Present.
7 present, 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We're going to start tonight's meeting with a good thing. Our Fire Chief Evers is being given an award, and so I would like to invite you up to
Yeah, I remember it in 2015.
the podium, along with Mr. Ronsheimer and Barrett, is it Barrett? Becker, I'm sorry.
Good
Please
evening.
go ahead.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to say on behalf of the veterans for the City of Muscatine and that are employed with the City of Muscatine, that the service and dedication that we get while we're deployed and the time off that we get and people covering our shifts and things like that, we really appreciate it. It really does help us and our family to be able to carry on the mission for the military and to continue to serve our community through our job. This is recognition for both the Fire Chief Jerry Evers and the Muscatine Fire Department. This is from the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Employer support of the Guard and Reserve recognizes Gerald Evers and the Muscatine Fire Department as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force. Our department has several veterans throughout the years that have worked hard to flex our schedules to meet the needs of the military, and many times which someone from the fire department would step up and cover our shifts while we would be either deployed or while we were covering our training time. The fire department has organized care packages to our deployed members. The chief has been able to meet the needs of the veterans returning home to make sure they transition back in an effective manner. He allowed members to return to their shifts where they were able to maintain the camaraderie of the returning warriors and being able to work with their shifts that they left. This was instrumental in reducing workplace anxiety. Members could have been put on any shift, but he would often follow up and check with the members to make sure their transition was going well. Thank you. Thank you, Fire Department.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Please come on.
Not no.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Next on our agenda tonight, we have an appeal by James and Natalie Allen concerning the removal of their dog from the City of Muscatine. Is there someone who's going to, go ahead, please come on up. Even though I just said who you are, if you will please say your name and address, please.
My name is James Allen at 609 Iowa Avenue in Muscatine. Madam Mayor and council members, I am here to appeal the recognition of my animal being considered a vicious animal. I have, with request, can I approach and give you guys some papers?
Do you have one for everyone, or otherwise you could hand them to
Yeah,
Councilman
I do
Spread?
have
You
one
can
for
just hand them to him and he
Okay.
can,
That works.
thank you.
There's that. Thank you.
And since I did not introduce myself, I am Natalie Allen.
Thank you.
Which was probably obvious, but just in case.
Please continue.
So he's had some incidences in the past, but how do you want to do this? You want to take this over?
I'll do the best I can.
Please take your time.
Our
And
the first point that we would like to make known to the council is that if you refer to the third page in the handout that we gave you, a vicious animal is defined by the code books as vicious animal means any animal that bites or attacks human beings or other animals, or in a vicious and terrorizing manner attacks or approaches an apparent attitude of attack, with specific attention to this part right here, a person upon the streets, sidewalks, or any other public ground or place or any private property other than the premises of the owner, possessor, or keeper of such animal, or a dog that runs after and bites or barks at horses, bicycles, or any other vehicle being ridden or driven upon the streets, sidewalks, or any public ground or place within the city. And I guess the main point that we would like to make with that is the incidents that have occurred involving our dog were strictly on our property. And I don't know, I have described in the outline the incidences in great detail of what exactly happened. If you would like us to go over those, I'd be happy to share them with you. We have 20 statements from friends and family who can attest to his demeanor on a regular basis with people that frequent our home. We do believe that these incidences that occurred were a reaction to him feeling the need to protect his property. One specific instance we believe wholeheartedly was provoked. That is not reflected in the reports that we picked up from the police department, but we do have witnesses. So however you see fit to proceed, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And we do have several people here in this second row, and one walking in right now, too, that are here on our behalf if you would like to hear from any of them, including our son, Kendall.
Kendall is the witness to two of the incidences, and then my sister-in-law is also here. She was witness to the two incidences also. So if you'd like to hear from them, if it would help in the consideration, I'd appreciate it.
So it's your belief then that he was provoked on each one of these instances?
Not each one necessarily. The one in particular, the very first one with the 14-year-old boy, it doesn't state in the animal control officer report that it was a provoke. What was said was that he stuck his hand in the fence. Now, granted, that is trespassing, no matter how you look at it. But he was actually dipping his hand over the fence to make the dog jump at him. And my sister-in-law told him, don't do that anymore, please go. She went inside, and she was watching over our pet at the time we were out of town.
She did put Colby back in at that time and then let him out periodically again throughout the day. And then she learned later in the evening that this 14-year-old male had been bit at a later time. So nobody actually, apparently he had a witness that's listed on the report, but we didn't actually witness the bite, but she did witness him taunting him prior to the bite.
Yes.
And we do have a very tall privacy fence, so he would not have been able to see a person. I mean, it's taller than Jim. Mm-hmm. He would not have been able to see a person on the other side of it in any way, shape, or form. So all he would have seen was a hand coming over the top like this. And we weren't home, so, even more so, he's going to have a natural protective mode because we aren't there to defend anything.
Sure. Council, do you have any questions? Would you like to hear?
So your fence that you have,
What's that?
your fence that you took a picture of right now that we saw, someone can fit their hand through it?
Yes, they'd be able to fit their hand in most areas, but overall, it's still labeled as a privacy fence.
How tall is it?
It's right at 6 foot, or close to 6 foot.
So what would you do differently if we were not to have it be a vicious dog?
Well, I plan on actually lining the inside of the fence with not a chain link, but kind of like a chicken wire type fence, so nobody can get their hands in there. I've been asked by many people about posting signs. I've always heard negative things about beware of dog signs. So I'm not sure the right plan of attack there. We have sought behavioral therapy for an animal. The closest one I found was Chicago or South Dakota.
Oh, I thought you said Clinton.
Where was it, Clinton?
I thought you said
DeWitt.
Clinton, but DeWitt. Okay.
That's right. DeWitt there was one up there too. But
I was just going to say, we honestly would be willing to do anything that you see fit to ask of us. Obviously, other than we're trying very hard not to have to put him down. He's been with us for almost 11 years. And we can't just give him away because he would be heartbroken. And it wouldn't be in his best interest to just give him to somebody outside the city limits. He wouldn't understand. And so we're just pleading to not have to put him down. And so anything that you see fit to put in place as an alternative to that, we are more than willing to abide by.
Do we have the animal control officer here? Or Brett, can you do? Okay.
I had a question.
Okay,
quick,
go
too.
ahead.
Is the dog fixed?
yes, he is.
Okay.
Any other questions for?
So every single incident was on your property?
That is correct.
I would also like to hear from the
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to-
control and
I have
Brad.
one minor question. You said you've had the dog for 11 years. How old is the dog total?
11 years, 2 months.
No, he will be 11. I mean, it was almost 11. He'll be 11 in August, I believe, is his date of birth. We got him pretty much from weaning.
Okay.
Oh, did the vet have a
Age.
different?
11 years, 2 months is
Oh.
what the vet had, but
Oh, maybe I'm off on
Anyways.
I might be off on my.
Any other questions? If you don't mind taking a seat, we'll hear from the animal control officer next. And Chief, go ahead. That's fine.
Excuse me.
What would you like me to answer?
Well, obviously, they're contending that the code doesn't fit. Their dog being considered vicious.
The private property is
Yes, the
my
private property
question
piece.
is in regards to is there other cases where somebody has entered a private property and they,
Well, they're not entering the property if their hand's going through the fence. That's not trespass.
okay, that's what I was asking. So it's not.
The other one was a mail carrier that was bit.
Okay.
Excuse me, it's all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
come up here.
Can you
Why don't
come up?
handled the last one.
If
so.
you talk from there, the folks at home
The,
can't
the
hear.
other two were actually the prior animal control officer.
Okay.
So she's,
Gotcha.
or the first one, I'm sorry.
Sure, sure.
And she dealt with the last two, so.
So about the fence, I can't.
Can you
say-
go up to the microphone,
I
please?
can't say whether or not they stuck their hand through the fence or over. I was not employed at that time by the city in that position. I do know that the second incident, a mail carrier was delivering, I believe, a package mail, something in that regard. I believe, was it you that answered the door? Somebody with a child had answered the door, and the dog came out, but the mail carrier went back in the house. So yes, that would also be on their property as well. They didn't exit the property. And then this third incident was a child that was visiting the home. I know that they do have children, so I mean, you're going to have people in your home. You're going to have people over. Your dog's not going to like everybody. And if this is the third time, maybe triggers aren't there to what they're looking for, like body language and stuff like that. And sometimes it's hard with breeds of dogs. But it's just, for me personally, as an animal owner, I would not want to have that burden of anybody coming into my home and worrying about my dog injuring someone else for the fourth time. So I don't know the dog personally. He did get loose probably a couple months ago. They were just on the sidewalk. Their other dog was, and I actually called him, and the daughter was home, and they were super thankful that I let them know, because that potentially could have been another incident, you know, but I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't look right. So yeah, he was very, very, very nice and respectful on the phone, very appreciative that I did let him know, but it is a huge risk. I'm going to be completely honest. It's not just one time, and I wasn't there, so I can't speak on their behalf of, you know, what their animal behaves like, but we're just here to present you the facts, the information, and that's basically.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What were the severity of the bites?
You know what?
Each time?
I honestly don't know. I actually didn't take any of the initial bites. So the first one I was not employed. The second one a police officer took. I was not on duty. And I believe the third one a police officer took as well. So I was not there. The child, I believe all three people did seek medical attention. So I don't know the actual severity of the bites because
Like, did they need stitches or anything? That doesn't
not
say.
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I can't say 100%.
I mean, because to me, a dog, you know, dogs on their own property, you know, if it's being called a bite, I want to know it's a bite before,
Sure.
you know, if we're going to look at this, because
Sure.
if
I
it's,
can-
you know,
I
if
can
it's a
read
dog,
some
you know, if it's a
descriptions
dog
for
that
you.
bumps up against you and you get a little bruise, like a kid sticking his hand through a
Sure.
fence,
Sure.
that's, you know, one thing. I mean,
Right.
biting the mailman, that concerns me a lot, but I want to know more about this if we're going to be looking at this at all, because, you know, if it's being called a bite, I want to know if it's a bite or if it's not, because it, you know, at this point with the answers, you know, do you have any other information on it, Brett?
No, other than what the report said.
I mean, I can give you like basic detail on like the description of the bites if that's what you're kind of looking for.
That would help.
Off the reports.
But they sought medical attention,
We
correct?
have the officer's actual
Yeah.
report here. We can go
Okay.
through that.
So if they sought medical attention, then who paid for those medical?
The people themselves.
They did?
No, the individuals that were, to my knowledge, that they went to, and the actual, I believe the mail carrier, their work had to take on that responsibility. So. For the first one, which again, I did not take this report initially, I was not employed. It said that there was 3 puncture wounds to the right hand on the thumb and the index finger. And that was the child that apparently stuck his hand through the fence or over the top. I'm not 100% sure of the circumstances there. For the second one, which was in 2016, that one had puncture wounds to the right calf. And then the third one actually was bit in, I believe, the buttocks and the thigh.
No, it was one area.
Okay. Okay. And like I said, I was not the reporting officer on that call either, so I didn't see the actual injuries. But that's just what it says. Puncture wounds and scratches to the left thigh and / buttocks area. So I don't know if it was just one generalization but those are just kind of a description. Obviously, I don't have like full medical reports for you. I don't know if we could get into contact with victims if that's what you're looking for extent. I don't.
Well, I think one of the things is, does it actually fit our definition with it being on private property?
It doesn't make, I don't think it makes any difference of whether it's on private property or public property.
Well, if you're reading it,
Says
if you
that
read
means
it,
excuse me, it says any animal that bites or attacks a human being or other animals.
it's all one sentence.
I understand that.
Any animal that
They're
bites or attacks
vicious and
human beings or
terrorizing.
other animals in a vicious or terrorizing manner, attacks or approaches in apparent attitude of attack, a person on the street, sidewalks, or any public ground or place or any private property other than the premises of the owner. That's how I read it.
But if you have, in my opinion, if you have an animal in your house and it's prone to bite people, it doesn't need to be in the city of Muscatine.
Well, that's a different issue. The issue, I think, is does it fit our definition?
I say it does, but that's hidden material at this point for,
Brett, can you speak to this at all?
My understanding with the way it is written is that it would be classified as, that's why I did it, or.
Sure.
If it, I mean, if you guys want to change the ordinance to say, except if it's in your own home.
That's what it says.
That's what
I
it
realize that,
already says.
change it from that is what I'm saying.
Yes,
And just take that off, but any way you look at it, the dog is vicious.
I understand.
So, we don't do bite reports unless somebody gets bit. It's not a scratch on the arm.
Certainly.
We don't do bite reports. I mean, I'm the last person who wants to see somebody get rid of their dog. So,
I mean, like I said, the mail carrier issue, that one concerns me enough that I don't know that I would change my mind on and that I would go against this. However, the other incidents, I question, whether those even apply to the code at all. So to me, it would be a one bite, but it's a mail carrier. So that's
I guess
problematic
that's up to
me.
you guys to decide. That's
because the way
that's
the code
not my interpretation of it, though, or I wouldn't have done this.
Sure. I mean, the way the code reads was it is pretty clear that it's except on their property.
If you guys want to change it, I'm all for that then. However you guys want to do it, I just enforce it. I don't write the codes.
We
so.
understand. No, nobody's,
It kind of puts us in a tough situation.
I understand.
I'm not sure I agree with your interpretation of the definition, because it says "or," and then it says "or" again later on in that same paragraph. So if you read it, you have the first statement, and then it says "or," and then you have a second statement, and then you have "or," and it has a third statement. So there's really at least three sections to that definition.
But it doesn't
First
fit those
section
either.
being vicious animal means any animal that bites or attacks human beings or other animals, or, and then it goes on to further define it, and then it says "or" and goes on to further define it. So you have separate statements within that one definition. And that first
You have to wait.
that first section would seem to apply in this to this case.
could we get a city of?
And that's how it's
attorney's
always been
opinion?
applied.
Sure.
Or simply clarify it,
Well, yeah.
probably cheaper.
Yeah, I don't think it says except private property. I think it says, it's just identifying another
It
place.
says other than
Other than the
private
premises.
property. Or say, other than the premises of the owner.
Other than the premises of the owner.
And it says it more than once.
But if you read it, it does make one statement, and then it says "or," it makes a second statement, and then it says "or," and makes a third statement.
But like the third statement, it didn't do that.
The
It
first
says,
statement can be read alone in and of itself.
There's commas, there's ors, I get that. I would want clarification from the city attorney on that
gray enough.
and or whether or not a single, because to me, there's, the mailman issue, that one, in my mind, stands, because the dog ran out of the house after a mail carrier. They should not be, subject to that, period. That should be,
excuse me, you have to wait.
So
That's
as
right.
far as the mail carrier goes, that one to me I don't have any questions about that. It's a mail carrier. They shouldn't be subject to a dog bite. The other two, to me, I need clarification from the city attorney on, because to me, those do not apply the way that I read the code, and I could be wrong, but that's why I want clarification.
No. Again, that's you guys' interpretation or your interpretation. That's not mine.
No, and I'm not asking you to clarify that for me. That's why I want the city attorney to clarify it, because I read it differently than you do, but I could be wrong, and that's why I want legal verification on that.
Unless you're looking specifically for this case, from a general perspective, it would be simpler just to clear the code, and clear up the definition rather than getting a legal opinion.
Well, unless
you're looking for something that you need specifically for this case.
Well, unless we're ejecting the dog from town for one bite. If we're listing the other two bites on this as a reason that the dog's being removed, then I need clarification for this specific one. You know, I don't disagree with changing the code. That seems like poor wording. Although then you have someone come into your home, act aggressively towards you, your dog defends you, and then that dog is automatically subject to removal if we change the code.
Depends on how you change it, but yeah.
So,
Councilman Harvey would like to speak.
I think we have an issue here that if we want to explicitly say it has to be on the premises of the owner, we're basically saying it's okay for a dog to chew and maul or do whatever to anybody that's on that owner's property. And I don't think we want to say that.
that's why I want clarification, because that's how it reads right now. And we have to go by the code, or we have to change the code, like Greg said. But I don't want to change the code mid-process on
I
something
agree
like
with
this.
Greg that with all those ors, the main statement is any animal that bites or attacks human beings. That's the main statement of that section of the code.
Until you get to the point where it says, other than on the premises of the owner.
That's embedded in one of those or statements says.
That also includes animals too. It's not just humans.
Yes, it's
Sure.
humans or animals.
Animals also.
Sure.
Code's been enforced as is before.
Yeah.
So just as a
Consistency.
consistency, it has been enforced as is.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is the first time that a family has pointed this out, and we hadn't really looked at it before.
What would the council feel like when explain what happens to the fourth victim if that person happens to be standing up here?
I'm going by the code. I want clarification on it. I mean, the way that it reads to me is that those two don't apply. Now, like I said, if we're saying we're ejecting the dog from town for the single bite against the postal worker, that one to me there's no argument there. That one is clearly an issue. The other two, though, to me are called into question by the way the code's worded. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think that we can take action on this tonight anyway, do we?
Yeah.
Normally.
If you're going to take action to uphold or the appeal, or whether you're going to leave it stand. And if you don't, in my understanding, if you failure to take action means that the appeal is denied and the action stands, the dog will be removed from the community.
Okay.
Brett, do you need more than one bite? I mean,
Per code, we do.
You have three?
Is it 3 or 2?
Well, I thought it was 2.
It's 2.
It says 1?
One or more.
1 or more. So you got 1.
Do you ever do it for one?
No, usually it's 2.
And
Two.
somebody reaching over the top of your fence, and the fence in that picture was adjacent to the sidewalk. The sidewalk, that fence may be technically on city property. My side, well, the picture that I didn't look at, I haven't looked at your property.
We'll let you come up and talk in just a minute. Anything else, Brett?
No, like I say, I wouldn't have wrote
We know
the-
you guys are just
Yeah.
doing it
I
the way
wouldn't
you
have done
have.
this if I didn't think that it fit the code, so.
We understand.
We present the facts and let
We
you guys
understand,
make the
and
decision.
you should be able to have the
Like I say,
the
I'm
rules
the
clear
first
as
one.
well.
I've got a dog myself, so.
I know, yeah.
Right. I'm
Okay.
not arguing with you, Brett.
No,
I'm not.
not in any way.
I know you're not arguing.
Does council have any other questions for either one of them? Okay, thank you so much. We still may
Not a
have
problem.
more stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Did you, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, did either one of you want to say more? And then I know you wanted to speak.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but my question then, since we are being specific about the wording, is what would the point of the line other than the premises of the owner, possessor, or keeper of such animal even be doing there if it did not apply just because there are ors before it? That's my first question. The other thing, we do not dispute the severity of what happened with the mail carrier. We do think that there were extenuating circumstances that we will be able to control, that we would like my sister to explain, since she was witness to it, what actually took place. So if I could invite her up to share with you.
Before you sit down, would you speak to where the fence is located?
The fence, I have to mow 3 passes with my mower between the fence and the sidewalk.
Okay,
So if that gives you,
thank you.
But is it actually on the property line? I have just,
guess I don't-
just
I
my,
don't know
right now, since of change in roadway and so forth, my sidewalk used to be just exactly 1 foot outside the property line. Now the sidewalk's almost 15 feet outside. My property line is way back up.
We've
I get it
never
that day.
had it assessed by the assessor or whatever, however you word that,
Right.
but let me just say that in order for you to get your hand up over that fence, you would have to take a good 2.5 to 3 steps from the sidewalk up on, and it kind of goes up on an incline. You're not just going to be on the sidewalk and brushing the fence. You literally have to step up.
Okay.
Can you tell me what your address is?
Yes,
go ahead.
609 Iowa Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We could hear from your sister.
Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm Shannon Morris. I live at 103 East 6th Street. My backyard is joint with their backyard from 6th Street here and Iowa Avenue here, and our backyards come like this. And we have taken out a section of their fence so that our kids and dogs could have more room in the backyard for playing or whatever. I was the one that witnessed the 14-year-old male taunting the dog. I let him out, in and out of the house that day, and they were gone. And I heard him barking, and I went outside, and I saw him doing this repeatedly as the dog jumped up towards his hand. And I told him to please go home and stop doing that, and that, you know, he needed to leave the property. And I let the dog back in. I let him in and out several times that day. I didn't know that he had gotten bitten at any time until later on when they were home and the officer contacted them.
Can you explain the mail carrier?
Yes, as to the mail carrier, I was babysitting that day at the home. My niece was with me, who at the time she would have been 10. She has some learning disabilities. We have guardianship of her and her sister, but she has some learning disabilities. I was in the restroom, which is upstairs in the home. I couldn't hear the commotion. When I came back down, I saw Kendall, their son, shutting the door and holding onto Colby's collar. And they told me that he had bit the mailman because my niece opened the door because she heard him out there. She thought he knocked. I don't know if he knocked or he didn't, because I didn't hear it. But she opened the door, being that there were 2 children in the doorway. I think that maybe the dog just thought that they were in danger. I don't know. But if I had been downstairs when that happened, it wouldn't have happened, because I wouldn't have allowed them to open the door. I teach my children not to open the door to strangers, especially if adults aren't present, which I was there, but I wasn't present. And I explained that to her. It's important never to open the door no matter the circumstances. And then later, probably 2 hours maybe had passed, and the police officer came. And I was again in the bathroom at the time, and my niece was holding the baby and opened the door. Again, you know, just bad timing to the fact that I was in the restroom at the time both things occurred. But I would just like to say that Colby is like a family dog for not just them, but us too. And we have 8 people in our family, and we all love him as if he were our dog personally, not just their dog. And I really wanted to say that because had I not been in the restroom, the mailman would not have been bitten because I would have told her that it was the mailman delivering the mail and you don't need to open the door. If he knocked, I don't know if he did, but all I know is it wouldn't have happened if I would have been downstairs.
Thank you. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, no disrespect.
Could you say your name, please?
Or my legal name's Albert Morris, so I'll say that. But,
Thank you.
I live at 103 6th Street. I was thinking of their address, sorry. But we live adjacent to them. But with no disrespect to them, I was kind of one. I have dogs myself, and our fence actually shares. So to get part of the facts, I'd like some understanding of like what the definition of attack and like an ongoing attack, because they weren't really attack. It was just like a nibble warning, like in a dog's like kind of view. Could like if somebody's taunting me or comes into my house and I don't know who it is, like you're probably gonna get a punch or something.
Okay.
But like if I go and shoot you, then it's like mauling or attacking or just beating the pulp out of you. Then it's an attack. So I just kind of want to know a definition.
We understand.
Or like if we have a puppy, is it a play bite then, or is it an attack if he keeps biting you?
Sure.
So I'd kind of would like to hear a definition of that. And then also, we have a fence in our yard, so is it standard code where how far the sidewalk is and what the city owns or what they don't own? Because, I mean, that's a huge question too, because, I mean, is it like so far off the curve, the city, or the city can place a sidewalk in the middle of your yard and it's the city? I mean, what's the city property off a sidewalk?
Sure. Thank you.
So I just was wondering if there's any answers to that. Can anybody know that? Or?
Well, there's specific guidelines for where you can put fences and how tall they can be and how, and if they can be see-through and what kind they are and all of that kind of thing. And you get a permit to do it, and it needs to fall in code in order to be able to do it. And there's specific guidelines for that.
All right, but what was the question is?
Every property
when on the report,
is different.
What first thing he said up here was, if you stick your hand over a fence, it's not private property. So I mean, if you're going to write that in a report and claim it's not private property, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I mean, I'm just asking answers.
I understand.
That's why we're questioning it.
Yes,
I just want to make sure it got addressed because, like I said, I want to hear the answer to it too because we have dogs ourselves. And
That's
kind
why,
of
all right.
That's why we don't feel this is a normal situation.
Yeah, and like I said, and knowing the situations, I just asked them, and part of the bill when it was asked if they paid, I think they may have offered to pay the building, but they were never asked to, or it was never brought to them to pay the bill. So it wasn't a thing of neglect where somebody said, we're going to the doctor. And actually, I know for sure the last one, the child, like it was pretty bad. Not like horrible, like a mauling like we're saying, or making it vicious, or I don't know. What was the wording? Can somebody tell me?
Vicious.
Real quick, vicious and...
Vicious.
And then what was the further part of it? Was there more?
Aggressive behavior.
Right. Yeah. But so anyway, the point is, it was one bite, and it was Jim that actually, the girl like would not, and he made sure like the girl went and told her mom did the right thing. I mean, if not, we wouldn't be here.
Sure.
But his honesty and telling her like you need to get it checked out, knowing the outcome of it and stuff like.
Thank
so
you.
it was just like a one-time thing or something. So.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Did you have something you'd like to add? I do. Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Rachel Chopa, 1905 Pinefield Street, Muscatine. I am Natalie Allen's other sister, and I just prepared a statement. I will try not to cry. First of all, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect on this very emotional issue regarding Colby on the family pet and the Allen family. It was brought to the extended family's attention that Colby, the family pet, has been wrongly accused of vicious behavior. I'm writing to you on behalf of Colby as an advocate for his well-being. As we all know, dogs are not able to fight for themselves, therefore it is our duty to be their voice when needed. I want to let you all know myself and my family has spent countless hours at the Allen's house and have never felt threatened by him in the slightest. He is a part of their family. He goes for walks with them. He lays on the couch next to them. He goes on family camping trips with them. He sleeps dutifully on the floor next to their beds at night. And he is all encompassing, referred to as part of their family. He is their protector. It wouldn't be fair to think that Colby is expected to know the difference between someone pretending to threaten his family and someone who truly has that intent in mind. That is exactly the case in this instance that we are trying to convey to you all. Colby has been taunted through his fence in his yard and domain by certain unnamed individuals and has reacted to those taunts. It seems very unfortunate that the individuals can obviously embellish the truth on certain facts, especially when it comes to a family pet who has no voice of his own in which to express his side of the story. It also doesn't seem reasonable that the Allen family hasn't been given the opportunity to right these wrongdoings, which is why we're gathered before you today, in an effort to convey to you that Colby is nothing short of a lovable family pet, and he is everything to his family. I would just like to impress upon you to please consider for a minute what this situation means to the Allen family and put yourself in their shoes for just a minute. Could you imagine having to give away or put down your family pet, which you enjoyed for years and years, because certain individuals have decided that he's not the loving pet that they very much think he is?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, do you have any more questions, comments, motions?
Where I stand on this is that if we can't get a legal opinion on the wording, and with some of the descriptions that I've heard, I would not support the removal of the dog. But I don't think that, I share some of Councilman Harvey's concern as well about any potential future bites. So I don't feel comfortable making a decision on this tonight because I would like some more information. I would like to look at other ways that, preventative measures might be able to take place if the dog was returned home, but I would also like an answer on the legal opinion. So if I'm forced to take action tonight, I would not support removing the dog from the family.
Other council?
I would agree with that.
I agree with Kelsey as well. I would vote in that manner, but should there be another bite, we would have no choice but to have the dog removed.
We expected that you might feel that way, and we don't contest that angle.
Okay, I have a dog
This
myself.
wouldn't be a time to talk to each
Okay,
other.
sorry.
If you would like to talk, you could come back up.
I apologize. It's hard not to react in the moment because
I
it's a
understand.
very emotional thing, and I've never attended a council meeting before, so some of the protocol I overlook.
We
But
understand.
I was just simply saying that, as I stated before, we are willing to act in any manner as the council sees fit that may be an alternative to removing our pet, and we do believe that we can keep future incidences from occurring wholeheartedly. And I would further say that I like to consider myself an upstanding member of this community. People who know me know that I would never, ever want somebody to be hurt. I try to be extra considerate of people's feelings and different things. And my point in saying so is that we would never ask this if we truly felt that this was going to occur again, or that that we were going to be putting other members of the community in danger. We would just go through with the awful decision of having to put our dog down.
Thank you. We understand.
I'm sorry, I did have one other thing I wanted to clarify. She mentioned about finding him outside on the sidewalk. At one point, Gene had a part of his fence that was, I don't know what happened to it, but it had, a tree had fallen on it. We didn't realize he was able to jump over that portion of it. It's been fixed, so it's not an issue for him to get out anymore. We just, at that particular time, didn't realize he was able to jump above that particular portion of the fence.
Thank you.
I will also state, when he did get out, he was on our sidewalk and usually goes right to the porch and sits there. People pass by, he just looks at them. He's only acted defensive in any situation when it was around the children, my kids. And it's not an act of, terror. He just stands guard.
So I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Malcolm, did you have anything to weigh in?
No, Your Honor.
So I guess if we're gonna have to act on this, I would move that we accept the appeal.
I would go along with that motion with the addition that if there is another bite, that we would have no choice but to have the dog removed.
So are you making a motion, Councilman?
I'm making a
Brackett?
motion.
Councilwoman Brockett, are you seconding that?
Yes.
We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye to return? Aye to leave the animal in the home? Yes. Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
I would say aye, but I want to make an amendment, if you want to say that. I want to be able to say that they want to fix the fence. I want to be able to say that they're addressing that fence issue where a hand can't go through it. Okay. So I am aye.
That would be a second motion.
Well, then, I just want to make sure that we're addressing it. If we just say that we leave it the way it is, then
Were you interested in revising it, or we'll just do another motion after?
Just do another
Yes.
motion after.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
You could do it as a friendly amendment if you wanted to.
Okay, we can do that as a friendly amendment. I'll accept that.
okay, good.
Councilman Spread, are you agreeable to that?
Yes.
Councilman Harvey, are you agreeable to that with the condition that they fix the fence better?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo, you did. Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald? Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
The motion carries with 6 ayes and 1 nay. You can connect with Chief, and he will explain anything from here. Okay? Thank you. We are going to move on with tonight's agenda. We are on C, number 4. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak to council about something else that is not on tonight's agenda? Please come to the podium. State your name and address, please.
Christopher Foss. I live at 803 Witcher Street, and I'm here to speak about what ought to happen to Witcher Street. I believe that everyone in town is against it opening. And so Cinda was kind enough to go down in the archives and retrieve these documents from 1994, which I passed out copies to all of you. At that time, the City Council passed an ordinance vacating the portion of Witcher Street between Quince and Green Street, and went as far as publishing it in the newspaper, but they neglected to go down to the county and record this. So what needs to happen now is to follow through on that, record deeds, giving back that portion to the two property owners on either side, so that this will never come up again. I don't know why it feels like it was, the council pulled a fast one on them at the time. You know, they went ahead and closed the street, but retained ownership by not recording it at the county and by not creating deeds. When you transfer the property to those two owners, it should be given to them, not sold to them, because it was taken from them in the 60s to create the road in the first place. And Dave Goddard owns half of that, and his grandfather actually owned it at the time. It's still in the family. So this is going back to the original people, so no money should change hands. It's a matter of rewriting property descriptions and recording that, making a deed.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on, we are on number 5, the consent agenda. John, what's up? Sure. You got to stand up and get in line, John.
I thought the agenda item said citizens. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
a
you're a
citizen.
citizen.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm here in an
You are a
unofficial,
citizen, aren't you,
unofficial
John?
capacity. My name is John Cook, 1441 Magnolia Street. I would like to invite all of the council, everybody here and everybody watching, to please come down to the new Pollinator Park on Saturday for their ribbon cutting. The mayor will be there to cut the ribbon. Everybody will be there. We'll have refreshments about 11:30. You can come down at 10:30 and actually plant some native plants in the new pollinator areas. So you can come by and say, hey, that's the plant that I planted. Look at all the bees on it and butterflies and all that kind of stuff. This is a really neat area. It's connects to the new Deep Lakes Trail. It's right across the street from where Kent Stein Park is, so it's really accessible to all different kinds of things. It's about a 1-mile spur that goes around the transfer station. It's about half paved or crushed asphalt, so hard surface right now is about half done. The other half should be done later this year when we can get Public Works away from their other very pressing duties. But it's a really neat trail, really neat path, some really neat amenities in there. We have some signs that give some history of that area as well. So it's an educational thing, and it's, of course, we all know the plight of our pollinators. We're all trying to do what we can to save monarchs and bees and all the other butterflies and everything like that. I'm even in my shirt. You can even register to win a t-shirt just like this, these wonderful shirts. This says Butterflies, Bees, and Brews because we have made our own brew down at the Contrary, and I would encourage you to go get an Iowa Pollinator Ale. Yes, it's an IPA, but it's not an IPA. Get it? But please, come down and see us. It starts at 10:30. You can go plant some plants. We'll have refreshments at 11:30. The ribbon cutting is at noon, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else? There we go.
This probably really don't have anything to do with the city, but there was a very real tragedy this morning. One of our citizens got run over by a semi and was murdered or killed or whatever. It was accidental, I'm sure. But I'd just like to see the council take a moment and say prayers for the family. That's all I have.
Thank you. We are remembering the family. Yes. Yes. Hearing no one else, we're going to move on with the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A and B, items 8A through G, items 9A and C, items 12A and B, and tonight's bills totaling $2,671,979.77.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Spread. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries with all ayes. Moving on down to number 9, we have some proclamations tonight that we're proud to be able to pass along to the public. The first one is National Public Works Week. Whereas public works provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs, such as maintenance of sewers, streets, public buildings and vehicles, snow removal, traffic control, engineering, transit service, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore I, Diana Broderson, Mayor of the City of Muscatine, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through 26th of 2018 as National Public Works Week in the City of Muscatine. I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Brian, can I give you this later, or would you like it now? All right. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate it. Next, we have Poppy Days. Whereas America is the land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by citizen soldiers, and whereas millions who have answered the call to arms have died on the field of battle, and whereas a nation at peace must be reminded of the price of war and the debt owed to those who have died in war, and whereas the American Legion family has pledged to remind America annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Now therefore I, Diana Broderson, Mayor of the City of Muscatine, Iowa, do hereby proclaim May 18 and 19, 2018 as Poppy Days, and ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on these days. We have with us Mr. Ralph Brewer that I would like to give this to. And I believe he has something for us. All right, we'll get another one. How's that? Thank you. We want to have them both, don't we? All right. I'll give this one to them, and we'll get one for you. All right. All right? We're proud of the VFW and the American Legion, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right. Thank you so much. Feel free to go around and give one to each. It's funny because...
Thank you very much.
Hi.
There's two organizations that brought it to us.
Well, they're stuck together. Uh-oh.
Said, where did you get it?
Do you want that? Whoops, sorry.
What'd you say your dates were, 25 and 26?
Thank you.
Yes.
We would all make another one.
You got me.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, you do. You know, that explains what we were trying to
That's what I was
figure
just
out
saying.
all
Thank
week.
you, sir.
Thank you.
The mystery has been solved.
Thank you. I was just saying that. That makes sense.
It makes sense, yes. Thank you so much for coming. We'll get you a copy right away. All right. Our last proclamation tonight is for EMS Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore I, Diana Broderson, Mayor of the City of Muscatine, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through 26th Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme, EMS Strong, Stronger Together. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. And we will get this to our fire chief after the meeting. We're going to continue on with tonight's agenda. We are on 11A. Presented for City Council's consideration tonight is a resolution approving the release of a real estate mortgage for 305 Pond Street. The homeowner participated in the 2009 Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehabilitation Program and received assistance through a 5-year forgivable loan. The 5-year period has now been completed, and it is required that the City of Muscatine release the mortgage on the property. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Spread with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Saucedo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
And Councilman Fitzgerald.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11B. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on June 7th of 2018 for the sale and transfer of city-owned property located at lots 4 and lot 5 of Block 55 of the original town of Muscatine, Iowa, also known as Musser Public Library. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Fitzgerald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11C. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the write-off of debts of former housing tenants. Every effort is made to collect rental payments and other monies owed to the Muscatine Municipal Housing Agency. However, there are times when people leave owing a debt. As a matter of good accounting, the City of Muscatine is directed to write off debts that are doubtful for collection. The amount to be written off is $5,992.18, which includes unpaid rents, damages, and maintenance charges. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion?
It was ayes.
I said Malcolm, didn't I?
No.
No, you said.
What'd I say?
Said Brackett.
Bracket.
Bracket.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got ahead of me. We have a motion by Councilman Malcolm with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
Councilman Spread.
Aye.
Councilman Harvey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert.
Aye.
And Councilman Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11D. The City of Stockton is the only governmental entity that did not pass the local option sales tax renewal question at the special election that we held this past March. The City of Stockton has now requested that the City of Muscatine ask Muscatine County to put this question on the fall general election ballot for just the City of Stockton. The City of Muscatine's support of this request is required since the city's population is more than half of the county's population. The City of Stockton would pay any costs associated with holding the election. There would be no cost to the City of Muscatine, and the election would not need anything passed in March for the city, would not change anything that was passed in March for the City of Muscatine, the county, unincorporated areas, or any other city in Muscatine County that have already passed the renewal of the local option sales tax. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Any discussion?
I had a couple of comments I wanted to make on this. I fully, I've made some comments about it already, but I want to stress that this kind of points to the importance of showing up at the polls and exercising your right to vote. They needed, I believe, 1 vote to occur for this to have passed already, and they had 0 votes from my understanding. Nobody in Stockton showed up to the polls, and that's a problem. We have low turnout here sometimes as well, but this just goes to show that 1 vote could have clearly made a difference, and we wouldn't have to go through this right now. So that's my statement on that. Thank you.
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11E. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve an exchange agreement with DG Partners, LLC. This agreement grants DG Partners an easement for a dumpster enclosure and a truck dock in exchange for dedication of right-of-way to the city, which is necessary for sidewalk improvements along Warren Street. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Spread. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11F. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the proposed sidewalk program. The City Council has allocated $210,000 towards the sidewalk construction program to address the gaps in the city's sidewalk network. This plan would include construction of sidewalks on Tanglefoot Lane, Warren Street, Liberty Street, and Hauser Street. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Any discussion?
I have a question, but, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
We might have the same question. I was curious if we know on Tanglefoot, do we know which side of the street that's going on? Because I can't really tell from the diagram.
The proposal said the north side.
Oh, did it? Okay. Yeah, then I definitely.
Mayor, Council, 2 things. One, staff's recommendation is on the north side. The second thing is what we're looking for with this is council's basic consensus to proceed. We would, then bring back the individual elements for you to approve the plans and specs.
Okay.
But at that point, we'd be approving the north side because that's what staff is recommending.
Right. I mean, this would be if you want to change it, this would be a good time to let us know.
So, and that's what I will be voting no on this, and only because of Tanglefoot. I think we need to finish the sidewalk that's already have been started, fill in the voids, and complete it on the south side. Even though, and we may have to buy right away to go around a tree or a utility pole or whatever.
It's a mess.
But it wouldn't be the first time. If you look at the sidewalk that goes down Hauser Street, from Mulberry to Cedar, it goes like this. When you go down Mulberry on out to the bypass, the sidewalk is nice and level with, or just a little raise from the curb like it's all supposed to be, and we made it fit the contour of the grade. And I think we can come down and go around things if we need to, or remove. So I would like to see Tanglefoot on the south side.
I would concur with that. So I don't know if we can approve the rest and pull that out.
I
just
would suggest
amend it.
you just make, since you're directing staff to how to proceed with it, make a motion, and then when we bring it back to you for construction, if that's
I'll
pleasure of
move that
council,
we
then
do the
that's what we'll
south
bring
side of
back.
Tanglefoot as amending what the staff is recommending.
I would second that.
As a new motion? Or just
Just an
amending the first one? Okay.
Amendment to what they're requesting,
Gotcha.
actually, or what they're recommending doing.
Any other discussion?
Andy, did you have a cost difference between the north and south side?
Wasn't anything in the agenda, or in the background information that I saw.
Basically, what it winds up being is it's, the north side's about 100 foot more sidewalk on the north side. On the south side, there's whatever the cost of either obtaining that right of way or removing that large maple would be, so.
Yeah. But I know that the kids from that area have, unless I'm only there watching at a certain time or paying attention, but they walk on the south side because there's partial sidewalks, then they walk in the gutter to get to the corner, and traffic, people are trying to go to work, passing them while they're in the street, so.
Andrew, would it be better for staff and you if you repackaged this and came back with it with the new improved packaging and all the numbers in place? So,
Well, yeah, that's, like I said, essentially, this would be the first step, that all of these, based on the direction you give, then we would actually bring back the formal project for bid and the plans and specs like you see. So I think
Okay.
that's already built into the process.
Okay.
You know, we talked about this a year ago, and there's no good solution. There really isn't.
Oh, I know.
And the south side has its problems, so does the north side. But something needs to be done so the kids can get to school.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Was this with the amendment?
Yes.
Yes, okay, aye.
Did we have all ayes?
Yes.
Yes. Request is approved with all ayes. Thank you. 11G, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve a preliminary final plat for Avalon subdivision. Steve and Cindy Alchin have submitted a combined preliminary final plat for a 3-lot subdivision located at the northeast corner of Hershey Avenue and Fletcher Street intersection. The purpose of this subdivision is to allow for the construction of a 4-unit apartment building. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Second. Oh.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11H. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve change order number 1 for the West Hill Sewer Separation Phase 4A project. This change order is for prepayment of stored materials. The change order is a zero-cost change order and does not increase the length of the project. It only deals with paying some upfront costs of the materials that are already stored on site for the project. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11I. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to RMC Imaging for the purchase of a ST ViewScan digital microfilm reader. This ViewScan will be used to complement our local history and genealogy department. The cost of this equipment is $8,995. The Walter Estate is contributing $5,000 for the project, and the remaining $3,995 has been budgeted into the CAT Building Project Fund. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion?
Just that I haven't used one of those in a long time.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11J. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order for building access addition and upgrade provided by Permar Security Services. The new library is in need of this equipment to safely and securely operate at the new facility. Permar provided the original system and is familiar with the layout and needs of the building. The cost for this equipment and installation is $5,875. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved. I'll take a second.
All right. We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11K. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Krieger Auto Group in the amount of $20,944 for the purchase of a new 2018 Ford F-150 truck for the Kent-Stein Park Division. This price includes the trade-in of the existing 1996 truck with 104,000 miles on it. The city received 2 bids that met the minimum specifications, and Krieger Auto Group was the low bid. There's $20,000 budgeted for this item. Is there a motion to accept the all right, I can't say that at all. Is there a motion to accept the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second. I know what it is. It was accept instead of approve. Who seconded that?
I did.
All right. We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
I would just ask where which fund the additional money comes out of, just for clarification, since it's over budget.
And just while Nancy's coming up there, we budgeted for a used truck, but they're able to get a new truck.
Right. No, I think it's a good deal. I just.
Right, I just want to make that clear.
Sure.
And they had actually asked for 25,000, but in the budget process, they were approved 20.
This is actually budgeted in the equipment replacement fund, and part of the budget amendment number 2 allowed for this $1,000 increase.
Okay.
And there is fund balance available to
Perfect.
purchase it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Very good, thank you.
Which, I'm just commenting, that's a very good price, so I'm not even bringing up the used.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very good, thank you.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11L. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Musco Lighting in the amount of $39,975 for the purchase of Control Link lighting system for Kent-Stein Park. Currently, 9 of the 17 ball fields have the Control Link system, and this would install them on the remaining 8 fields. With the Control Link system, Musco monitors the facility from their home base and can recognize problems with each light pole, estimate life of each bulb, and can turn the lights on and off with a phone call from an approved authorized person. Is there a motion to accept the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not opposed to this, but I just wondering, will phone calls be made to Musco for them to turn them on, so they're 24/7? Okay. How will they know who's approved and who's not?
Password.
You can't do a nod of your head with that question.
You have to keep going.
Yep.
We have an approved list of point of contact for each association, so they're given a password and a passcode, and they can also call in to extend some of the times as long as they're scheduled.
Okay, so is it date specific, or you just get Joe Blow can always request on and off, or something?
So their date and time and field specific.
Okay.
And the schedules are submitted to the department. We put it into the drive or scheduler, and then we schedule the lights.
Are
If
these all-
somebody shows up and doesn't schedule a field and they wonder why the lights don't work, it's because they didn't schedule the field.
Okay. Is there perchance on the light pole down there or whatever, is there a phone number that they can remember, or?
No, the
how does
groups,
that-
teams, organizations, coaches work through their point of contact. Point of contact works directly with the department.
Okay. These happen to be LEDs?
Some are and some are not.
Will the new ones be LEDs, or do you know?
We're not, these aren't the field lights being replaced. These are only the controls.
Oh,
the
just
control
the,
system.
okay,
Yep.
sorry.
That's okay. Diamonds 3 and 4 are LEDs.
Thank you, Rich.
Welcome.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11M, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Century Fence in the amount of $56,427 for the dog park fencing project. This is the first step in the development of the Muscatine Dog Park and involves installing approximately 2,650 linear feet of chain link fencing. The city received 3 bids, and the low bidder was Century Fence. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11N, presented for City Council's consideration is a request for a professional services agreement with Bolton and Mink for the design of the airport hangar apron. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second? We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Malcolm. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The request is approved with all ayes. 11O, we have a request to issue a purchase order for the purchase of a water purification system for the Water Pollution Control Plant Lab for $12,200. $12,000 was budgeted for this item. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion?
Same question, just to clarify which, maybe Greg can answer this question, just on the overage amount that comes out of which fund?
It'll come out of the overall budget as long as they don't go over.
Okay, perfect. That's all. Thanks.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11P, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Hogland Bus Company in the amount of $61,481 for the purchase of a conversion van to be used by the Transit Department for the JARC evening route. There will be an additional cost of $1,950 to get the van into service. The city's share will be $12,690, with the remaining amount being paid for with the FTA operating assistance funds. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Harvey. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick question. There were several floor plans, if you will, for the van. Is this a combination of wheelchair positions plus regular seats? I didn't hear that.
Yes, it's wheelchair accessible, and we'll be able to handle regular passengers as well.
And when the wheelchairs go in, do you have to tip up or whatever some of the passenger seats to make room?
I don't believe so. I believe it's in the back. There should be a floor plan in there. I'm not positive, but I believe it's rear entry for the wheelchairs, and I think they're right there when they're in.
Okay.
So do we have a vehicle that we're taking out of service to replace this one?
No, this is an opportunity to use the funding that we would otherwise lose to add this smaller vehicle, more fuel-efficient vehicle to the fleet, and use it for the nighttime service. We don't usually fill up a full bus anyway, so this is an opportunity for us to do that.
Nighttime and individual pickups.
Yes.
And there's a
Thank
picture of the rear loading attached.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
I was just curious which one.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on number 14, communication from council members. Before we get started on that, I would just like to let everyone know that Follow the Music, the event that we're having on Sunday, the venue has been changed in worry for the inclement weather coming in. So instead of having it at Weed Park, it will be at the high school auditorium beginning at 4 o'clock. Councilman Harvey, did you have anything tonight?
Maybe a little premature, but I guess the first Saturday event is coming up on the first Saturday in June, so I'd invite everybody downtown to enjoy the festivities.
Second Saturday, you mean?
What did I say?
You said first Saturday.
Second Saturday. Sorry.
Second.
The first, second Saturday.
Well, you can go down first Saturday too if you want.
We had a new program.
And we are hoping to have Mrs. Osborne on our city to talk about the second Saturday events coming up.
I understand that they're trying to make it bigger and better this year, so it might be, if you haven't been down there before, it'd be a good chance to do it.
Anything else?
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Spread?
Heard some sad news yesterday about the passing of Osama Shahadi. And
Yes.
for those of you who may not recall, Osama served on this council for 12 years with distinction, and I had the pleasure of working with him for 4 of those years, and he will be missed.
Mm-hmm. Prayers to his family. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
I just echo Tom's comments. He will be missed. Thank you.
Councilman Saucedo?
Same that I've heard. He was a great man and a great contributor to the community as well too. So we will miss him. That's all I have.
Councilwoman Brockert?
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Councilman Malcolm?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yesterday I attended a nuisance abatement conference, and I was pleasantly surprised when in one of the sessions I was greeted by our community development, the entire staff, including Mr. Gobin, and all of us sat there and were enriched by the training. But it was interesting to find that that the city is working to keep cutting-edge knowledge and information shared to make this place better. And I learned a great deal, and I hope Mr. Gobin and his staff, we complimented each other about certain things along the way. It was a great opportunity. I look forward to future learning by the Municipal Leadership Academy that sponsored it and hosted the event. And I thank you for the opportunity to go and represent you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brackett?
I would echo the condolences to Osama's family, and also would like to mention that very, very different from that cheerful stuff is we've got the once again I'll mention the Soapbox Derby. We have registration live. We are looking for some vendors that might want to get involved with sponsorships and things like that. So feel free to reach out to me. And that is all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Staff?
I too would like to echo the comments. I enjoyed working with Osama for a number of years, and he will be sorely missed by many in the community.
Yes. I just had a few things. The Pollinator Park ribbon cutting that we're going to do at noon on Saturday, we'll have folks down there taking photos, and we'll give a real nice snapshot of it on Our City at the beginning, and John was on there just recently showing us a lot of pictures. Let's keep our eyes out for all the information coming up for our Independence Day celebration. Of course, the Soapbox Derby. That morning, they'll have a pancake breakfast to support the Kids First Fund. The Kids First Fund is a fund at United Way that helps children be able to engage in soccer, go to camp, be in band, different things like that. This fund is set aside to, maybe a child can't play soccer because they don't have the shoes that they need. This fund can help buy them the shoes. It can help them rent a band instrument. It can pay their way to go to camp. And so they're doing fundraisers throughout the year to keep that fund established so that it can help children be able to be involved in all the different activities that are such a part of the youth in our community. So that's something great coming up for it. But I know right now that the chamber is actively looking for donations to make our fireworks bigger and better and just continue to have them for our community. So if that's not anything that you'd normally think about giving to, please do. Our city guests this coming week are going to be Bob Bromwell on the cemetery steps at Greenwood Cemetery. We had a big grand opening last week. It was really nice to see all the folks come out and watch the Greenwood Cemetery steps get opened. And then our Chief Evers is going to be with us to talk about everything with his department, and certainly he's a decorated chief now, so we're very pleased. And Our City is live streamed on YouTube, and you can catch it on Our City or on the City of Muscatine page as well, and then it's replayed on Channel 9. So thank you all for coming. At this time, we need to ask everyone to please exit. We need to move into closed session, and we will adjourn after that. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
You need a motion?
No, we will take a motion.
Okay.